I'm Michael Telemontes, and today I will be showcasing a mid-drop fade haircut. In this tutorial, I will be highlighting some steps and key details used to achieve this style fade. For more info and haircut tutorials, click subscribe or follow on Instagram. To start, I'm using a number 3 guard with the grain as well as against the grain on the sides. This is a debulking process to set the base for the haircut. To finish up the debulking process, I'm using a clipper over comb technique as well as a freehand technique with the grain to clear off any extra hairs and finish off the shape for the top of the head. To start this fade, I'm using a Wahl detailer trimmer. I'm setting the first guideline for the fade, creating a shape for the mid-drop fade, and taking the hair all the way down to the skin. As I trim around the ear, I pull it slightly away from the direction of the blade to avoid nicking or cutting my client's ear. Here I'm taking an Andis shaver, just going over the guideline that I've created, clearing out any extra stubble, and I'll do this all the way around the head to get it all the way to the skin, being very detailed and leaving no extra stubble. Fade out from the zero, I'll use my clippers starting with the lever open, following the guideline all the way around the head. This is a 3-step process that I'll use throughout the haircut, using the lever open, closed, and in the middle to detail. Throughout the years, this is the easiest technique that I've learned to achieve consistent fades. When fading around the ear, I'll utilize the corners of the blade to maintain the shape and more hair towards the arch. After we push the guideline up with the lever open, we'll now close it to begin fading out from the skin. This is the second phase of this 3-step process. Next is the 3rd step of this process. I'm shifting the lever in the center of the blade so that I can detail in between each of these guidelines. Obviously, there'll be parts of the head that aren't consistent all the way around. For this, I like to shift the lever slightly up and down so that I can further detail in this step. I spend the most time blending up from the skin. In my opinion, this is a key part of the fade. The difference between a good fade and a great fade is your attention to detail and ability to blend out from the zero line. To achieve the best possible blend from the skin, I like to go back over and clear off any subtle lines that might be left over using the trimmer and shaver. I think of this as like a sanding process, using the shaver to lightly brush any hairs, creating a smooth blend from the skin. Now that we've blended out from skin to zero, we'll use the same process with a half guard, starting with the lever open. As you become more familiar with this 3-step fading process, you can easily implement it into your arsenal of techniques and utilize it for just about every haircut. This is a great technique for new barbers to practice. The better you get, you will soon realize how effective it will be for staying on schedule. Now with the lever closed, I'll begin to blend out from the zero to the half. With the lever in the center, now we're detailing this half guard step. Throughout these steps, I'm shifting the lever open around the arch and the back of the head to maintain more hair around these zones. Next, we'll use a 1 guard to blend up from the half. continuing to use the same 3-step process beginning with the lever open. As we take the fade up higher, closer towards the parietal ridge and top of the head, we want to begin to flick out more so we're not cutting too far into those sections. In these final steps, I'll start to use the corner of the blade a lot more. This way I'm not taking out too much hair, and at this point I'm just focused more on detail. Here we'll use a 1.5 guard to blend into the top. This is the final step of this fade. After all the fade steps are complete, I'll now go through a full detailed process, going over any dips or areas that are not fully blended. During this detailed process is when you're able to throw some style onto the fade, start creating a signature look that, people will look at your Instagram or YouTube and say, hey, I want that haircut. There are a few ways to create more depth for this style fade, including more weight at the arch and occipital region. For my mid-drop fades, I like to stretch the zero out just a little bit further above the ear. That way I'm creating more depth around that area. Here I'm going over with the 1 guard to brush and blend any parts of the fade that are not fully blended. I generally do this with each guard to ensure that the fade is balanced and consistent all the way around. As I detail some of these areas, I'm pulling the skin away from the direction of the blade so that I can catch any small parts of this blend that aren't fully blended and just a little more consistent. This here is a more advanced technique. I'm utilizing my trimmer and a flat comb, just going over with a clipper over comb technique. This just gets a lot closer, really fine detail, just to clean up any hairs that are left over. Same thing, clipper over comb technique with a shaver, just getting as close as I can, blending out some of these areas that are a little bit darker than other parts of the fade. Here I'm using my thinning shears right around the parietal ridge. Generally with all haircuts, I like to use thinning shears and a regular comb at this zone, just so that I make a smooth transition from clipper to the top of the head. It looks a little more natural. The corners of my client's hairline are lighter than the rest of it, so we won't trim too far up. Generally, you want this area to grow out. We can also enhance it to make it a little more bold. As I finish up this haircut, I like to just detail a little bit further. I'll take the trimmer and follow the growth of the hair, going with the grain, just trimming off any flyaways. That way I have a smooth transition all the way through. This is another great technique for flyaways, just brushing over, especially with coarse hair. You can utilize your shaver just to brush over, catch any flyaways, and it won't take out too much. Now for the lining process. To hit the arches, I'm just utilizing the corners, taking small steps and just trimming it all the way through, not pushing it back. For the lineup, I brush the hair and look at it straight on, starting at the center. This way I'm not pushing it back, and I can easily create a straight line all the way across the forehead. For the final steps of this fade, I'm using an airbrush and some semi-permanent tie just to tie this haircut all in together. This is what's going to make the fade pop out just slightly more for photos or for the night out. This ties it all together and just creates a really nice finished look. Not using too much, it's just little subtle details that really matter. After the enhancements and final touches to the lineup, I'm using the shears just to trim off any hairs that weren't cut. Now for the final part of the fade, we're utilizing the straight razor, lathering up the neck, shaving it through. My client gets a little sensitive with the shaver, so we're just making sure to go with small strokes, smooth strokes, so we don't irritate the skin. Thank you for watching this tutorial. If you like this video and would like to see more, please click subscribe or feel free to follow on Instagram.